My name is Jimmy Walker. I'm here to talk to you about automotive maintenance. These are little things that you can do to keep your vehicle running at top peak performance, as well as keeping it from breaking down on you while you're having to sit on the side of the road waiting for someone to come to your aid. I highly recommend following these tips, and it'll keep your vehicle lasting longer. My qualifications are that I was ASC certified. I just recently found out that my certification had expired. I don't have any plans on getting it renewed because of the fact I'm no longer in this industry, but I do have over 8 years experience in the automotive industry, everything from gas engines to diesel engines, Fords to Hondas and BMWs. The workings of an engine are very fine-tuned. Everything from the crankshaft to the pistons to the timing, everything is milled down to 10 thousandths of an inch, which is just ridiculously small. The human hair width is 3 thousandths of an inch, so the engine has tighter tolerances. These are some of the things I have seen in my experience in the automotive industry. Pennzoil will cause this. Stay away from that oil. But also just lack of proper oil changes and general maintenance care can also cause this as well. This will rob you of horsepower, fuel mileage, and it can also cause premature destruction. The oil is a lifeline on both diesels and gas engines, especially on diesels. Diesels require very heavyweight oil, and that's what helps keep everything running smooth and free. Fords, this is especially true on, especially with the 6.0s and the 6.4 liter diesel engines, as they use the oil to fire the injectors. Keeping the coolant clean and cool, this is actually very important. You want to make sure you do a flush roughly every 70,000 to 100,000 miles. This will prevent any kind of premature wear on your water pump, and that will also help keep the coolant cycling through the engine and keeping everything cool the way it should be. The automatic transmission fluid, also known as ATF fluid, this is very important to have. As the fluid goes through the engine, there's a series of clutches and steels in there that it actually locks together. If you have a lot of debris in there, it can actually cause premature wear and can actually tear up your transmission. Most manual transmissions require gear oil. Some of them will require automatic transmission fluid, and some of them will require regular motor oil. Prime example of this is a Honda Accord, 1990 all the way up to roughly 2002. Their standard transmissions require 1030 weight. Air filters allow your engine to breathe clean air. The lower the micron rating, the better it's going to filter out. If you have a high micron rating, it's going to allow trash to get through the engine. Replacing this, making sure it's clean and clear, will allow your engine to breathe easier, thus increasing power and fuel mileage. Rear differentials require gear oil, heavyweight gear oil at that. Not changing the gear oil can actually wear out the bearings, and it can also wear down the seats in them. It's highly recommended that you change these roughly every 50,000 to 70,000. If you start hearing a whining sound, start saving up money to have your rear end rebuilt. Tire pressure is a very, very big thing whenever it comes to automotive care. If you're low on pressure, it can actually cause the inside to bubble down, like a little U shape, and that can also cause uneven tread wear. Just as if it's overinflated, it causes it to bubble up, causing uneven tread wear right down the center. When it comes to tire rotation, I would highly recommend taking a screenshot of this. Every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, you want your tires rotated. This will keep the pattern the same, as well as extending the life greatly for your tire, for your tire tread. When it comes to power steering fluid, you can usually use automatic transmission fluid. You can just get the cheap stuff at AutoZone or Walmart. I would recommend filling it up whenever it starts getting low. And also a flush every 100,000 miles or so is not a bad thing to do either. That'll keep all the debris and fine shavings out of the rack and pinion. When it comes to fuel filters, the fuel goes through this filter and it helps clean up any trash that the screen missed. I recommend replacing these every 15 to 30,000 miles. You're going to want to refer to your owner's manual to verify those numbers. Some are higher, some are lower, some require different types of fuel filters. When it comes down to spark plugs, this causes a fire inside your engine and causes a combustion inside each cylinder. Having new spark plugs and plug wires, which we'll get next, will allow a more cleaner and efficient burn, thus increasing fuel mileage and horsepower. Usually premature wear isn't a big deal with these. When it comes to plug wires, usually you want high resistant wires, and that will actually send a signal from the coil or the distributor to the spark plugs. Making sure that these are clean, neat, and you have dielectric grease in them will ensure a good spark every time. Moving on to the distributor cap and rotor. Not all vehicles have these. Some vehicles have a coil. However, on the older vehicles, even on my 99 Honda Accord, I do have one of these. Make sure you replace the cap and rotor every, I'm going to say roughly 30,000 to 50,000 miles. Each vehicle is different, once again, but this will help guarantee a spark. When it comes to brakes and rotors, this is a high thing to check. You don't want your pedal to go all the way down to the floor. If you have deep grooves in the rotors, you're going to want to get those replaced. Same thing if you start hearing squealing or grinding, get your pads and rotors replaced because now you're tearing into the rotor. When it comes to choosing drilled and slotted rotors or regular, this is really up to you and if you want performance. Drilled and slotted rotors have the added advantage of keeping cool and keeping the water displacement off of the rotors whenever you go through a puddle or whenever you're running into extreme braking conditions. Not required for everyone. There are other general checks and miscellaneous things to check for. One of the main things I would recommend is just keeping an eye on all the fluids, making sure the steering wheel is straight whenever you're driving in a straight line, and things like that. If you notice any of those, it's time to really start looking into it, see what's causing the problem. But that's going to do it for this presentation, and I thank you for your time.